to the orphanage, and thus did not see the fist until it hit his ear. "Oh!" he said.
"Don't you be asking stupid questions,"
said Gremkin, who defined stupid questions as questions he could not answer.
"All you need to know is this ship will be your home for the next 5 weeks."
5 weeks, sir?" asked Peter.
"If you're lucky,"
said Gremkin, leaning out of the carriage now to study the sky.
"If a storm doesn't blow you halfway to hell," he smiled again, "or worse."
"Worse than hell, sir?" inquired James, the second youngest boy.
"He means if the ship sinks,"
said Tubby Ted, who had a gift for looking on the dark side.
"and we wind up in the sea, swimming for our lives."
"But I can't swim," said James.
"None of us can swim." "I can swim,"
Tubby Ted declared proudly. "You can float," corrected Peter. Even Gremkin cracked a smile at that, yellow tooth stumps showing through chapped lips. Peter looked down the wharf and saw a much nicer-looking and bigger ship painted a shiny black. Its crew wore uniforms, unlike that of the Neverland. It too was being loaded and seemed ready to set sail. If it came down to choosing between the two ships...
"It don't matter,"
said Gremkin brightly, his mood improving.
"Swim, sink, or float. The sharks will take care of all you boys before you get a chance to drown."
"Sharks," said James.
"Big fish with lots of teeth,"
said Tubby Ted.
"They eat people."
"What if there's no people in the sea?" said Thomas.
"What do the sharks eat then?" "Whales,"
said Tubby Ted.
"But they like people better, and there's plenty of people in the sea. Ships is always going down. I heard about one." "Oh! That's enough of your jabber,"
said Gremkin, who had a rule against too much jabber. The carriage pulled to a stop beside the ship's aft gangplank. As Gremkin and the boys climbed out, a thick, bald man in a grimy officer's uniform thumped down the gangplank and approached the carriage.
"You Gremkin?"
he said.
"I am,"
said Gremkin.
"And you are?"
"Slank. William Slank, first officer, second in command of the Neverland." The man made a face as if he'd just bitten into a rancid prune. It occurred to Peter that Slank didn't like being second in anything.
"These are the orphans, then?"
"They are," said Gremkin.
"And you're welcome to them."
"I don't care for boys," observed Slank.
"Then you'll definitely not care for these,"
said Gremkin.
"We've had boys on board before," said Slank. "They was always stirring up the rats."
The boys glanced at each other.
"Rats? The thing to do," said Gremkin, "is keep them disciplined."
To illustrate, he shot his fist sideways, not looking where it was going. It struck Prentice, who, being fairly new, had not yet learned that it was unwise to stand immediately to Gremkin's right.
"Oh!"
said Prentice.
"Sir,"
said James to Slank,
"there's rats on the ship."
"Don't you be playing with the rats," said Slank, cuffing James on the ear. "They make a tasty treat when the food runs out."
"The food runs out?"
asked Tubby Ted, suddenly reluctant to take another step.
"When?"
Slank slapped him across the ear and said, "After we eat you." Gremkin nodded approvingly, confident now that he was leaving the boys in good hands. Peter scanned the area for a place to run and hide. He saw a supply store offering pulleys and hemp rope, some taverns, the Salty Dog, the Mermaid's Song. Mermaids? Peter wondered. But everywhere he looked, there were sailors and dock workers, rough men with rough hands. He wouldn't get 10 paces before one of them would collar him, if Slank didn't collar him first.
"I'll be getting back to St. Norbert's,"
Gremkin said. He turned toward the coach, paused for a moment, then turned back and said,
"You boys better watch out for yourselves."
In 7 years, that was the nicest thing Peter had ever heard Gremkin say.
"All right,"
said Slank, as Gremkin turned back to the coach.
"You boys get on board. We're waiting for one more piece of cargo, and then we cast off."
Peter eyed the nicer ship down the wharf. Some soldiers were approaching it, carrying rifles with bayonets. The soldiers wore crisp blue uniforms and black shiny boots. They walked on either side of a horse-drawn cart that carried a single trunk, black, done all around with chains and padlocks. The boys hesitated, taking their first good look at the